Okay students, welcome you all on the behalf of Rahul Anand Biology Tutorials. So, as you know that I am Rahul Anand and this is somewhat around my channel whose name is actually the Rahul Anand Biology Tutorials. So now, let's begin with the very interesting topics which are often being asked in terms of your Neet, of in the Aiims, of in the All India Pre-Medical Examinations. So these are actually belonging from which of the chapters of your book. So these are belonging from the Biomolecules. So today here we are going to study about what are actually the lactose. Of course, so lactose is what? So lactose is the disaccharide. Talking about these means what are actually the disaccharide. So those which are particularly giving 2 units of the monosaccharide are coming under what cases? So these are coming under the case of the disaccharide. Then we are having these things means what are actually the here meant of the lactose. So lactose is literally being formed by what? So your lactose is being formed by the combination of, tell me, the beta D or either the beta D galactose as well as the beta D glucose. Now, so when we are talking about these things in terms of the formula, such as here we have understood means what are actually the lactose. So lactose is what? So lactose is being formed by what? So lactose is being formed by the hydrolysis of what? Of your nothing else but the here in terms of what? In terms of the beta D galactose as well as the beta D glucose. Now, so formula will be C12H22 then O11 which is equal to the C6H12O6 plus C6H12O6. Here, when we are talking about these things means what are actually the lactose. Remember the formula means the C12H22O11 then again here meant of the glucose then the galactose. So it will be nothing else but the C6H12O6 and again the C6H12O6. Now, so when we are talking about these things means in terms how or either these lactose or either are being formed by what? So these lactose are being formed by the combination of nothing else but your here in terms of what? What? Means in terms of the beta D galactose then what? Then the beta D glucose, of course. So these are particularly being held together by the help of what? So these are particularly being attached to one another by the help of the glycosidic bond. So when we are talking about these things means what are actually the glycosidic bond. So in this case the portion of the attachment with reference to your glycosidic bond, so it will be the C1 of the galactose are literally being attached to what portion are being attached or rather linked with reference to the C1 of the glucose. In the case of what? In the case of your here meant of the lactose. Then when we are talking about these things means what are actually the lactose. So your lactose are popularly known as the milk sugar, remember. So your lactose are of course the here meant of the disaccharide and you are very clear about that means what are actually the disaccharide. So disaccharide are what? So which particularly giving 2 units of the monosaccharide. So coming under nothing else but the case of the disaccharide. Having the resemblance of the example, we'll be understanding about that later. Then when we are talking about the next step, so understood means what? So your lactose are particularly what? So lactose are what? So lactose are the milk sugar, particularly the lactose are the disaccharide. So these are literally present in terms of your milk. Then when we are talking about these things means what are actually the reaction are literally being enrolled, of course. So when your here meant of the lactose are particularly being treated with reference to the diluted HCl, it is in the formation or either it is giving the equimolar mixture of what? So when your lactose are literally being treated with the diluted HCl, so it is particularly giving the equimolar mixture of the what? The beta D galactose then the beta D glucose, of course. Talking about the formula as well as the resemblance, so you are very clear means in this case we will be having the structural resemblance in terms of the C12H22O11 in the case of the lactose, which is resulting in the product hand side we will be having what? So in the product hand side we will be having the C6H12O6 and again the C6H12O6 where the first one is the beta D galactose and the another one is the beta D glucose. Talking about the next step. So in this case when we are talking about the layer here mean particularly what? So when we are particularly talking about these things in terms of the lactose, so we are having what? So in this case we are particularly having the, tell me, the here meant of the beta D galactose as well as the beta D glucose. So these will be particularly arranged in terms of the Parnose form. So what are actually the Parnose form, we'll be understanding about that. later. So these are the particular structural resemblance, particularly carrying the bit amount of the concept. So we'll be understanding that later. Literally, when we are talking about the molecular formula of what? Of your lactose. So these will be actually what? So the molecular formula of your lactose will be the C12H22O11. As well as you could find here the particular structural resemblance in terms of the structure, means how these in terms of the C12H22O11 means what? Means of your lactose are literally being arranged. Often how does the glycosidic bond literally being existing with reference to what? With reference in the case of the here means of the beta D galactose with the beta D glucose. Find it. So here is the beta D galactose, then again the beta D glucose. So this is somewhat the condition when we are talking about means what are actually the lactose, where we have particularly understood the bit introduction, such as these are the particularly disaccharide. Often we have dealt that what are the composition, or either you could say that lactose are being formed by what? So the lactose are being formed by the hydrolysis of what? By the hydrolysis of the beta D galactose and the beta D glucose. Often we have dealt about these things, means what are actually the resemblance, such as in this case we have the C12H22O11, which is actually nothing else but the lactose. In the reactant hand side, of course, talking about the product which will be formed or rather enrolled, so this will be nothing else but the here made of the C6H12O6 and again the C6H12O6, where the first one will be the beta D galactose and the another will be the beta D glucose. Talking about these things, means how does these particularly are being arranged or rather linked in terms of the beta D galactose as well as the beta D glucose, of course. So these are being attached by the help of the glycosidic bond, as well as these are having the resemblance or rather the linkage point are literally nothing else but the C1 of the galactose, then the C4 of the glucose, of course. So between these portion of the components of the lactose, we are having the glycosidic bond. Often we have dealt about the enrollment, such as these are often known as the milk sugar in terms of your lactose. Why? Because these are particularly disaccharide which are literally being present in terms of your milk. Often we have understood that when the particular lactose is doing the reaction, rather when it is being treated with reference to the diluted HCl, it result or rather it is particularly giving the equivalent mixture of nothing else but the, tell me, the beta D galactose as well as the beta D glucose. As well as we have often did the bit introduction, means the particular in the case of the lactose we are having what? So in the case of the lactose we are having the beta D galactose, then what? Then the beta D glucose. So these are particularly what? So these are particularly being arranged in terms of the pyranose form. Often we have did the particular bit introduction, means what are actually the molecular formula of your lactose. So these are nothing else but the C12H22O11, of course. So you could particularly write this. So if you like the word with reference to the education as well as the lectures as well as the particularly videos, so you could of course subscribe, then particularly like, then comment below in the text. Thus I will be knowing that what concept actually you are hungry for or what haven't you understood or either got. So very thank you with reference to what? So very thank you with reference to the Rahul Anand biology tutorials.